Hello, and welcome to Don Hammond's Arlington Weekly News. I'm Daniel Pineda. We have a great program this week. We have our news stories, community bulletin board, and 55 plus news. But first, a social media reminder. You can watch the Arlington Weekly News on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Arlington Weekly News and the number one. Also on Facebook and WERA 96.7 FM. And now on to our first news story for this week. On Thursday, March 10th, the Virginia Department of Health made changes, ostensibly to simplify and streamline their COVID-19 dashboards. Unfortunately, the total number of reported COVID-19 cases in Arlington was listed as less than last week's figure of 40,260. Now the report shows a total of 40,169. Since that measurement seems to have changed, we cannot determine the number of new cases from the VDH site. Arlington's alternate site shows 40,454 total cases, with 46 new cases on March 10th. As for vaccinations, we examined Arlington County's vaccination tracker. According to that site, 197,200 Arlingtonians aged 5 and above have received at least one dose of the COVID vaccine. They show that figure as 87% of their estimated eligible population of 226,754 Arlingtonians. 29,554 Arlingtonians remain unvaccinated. Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine for 5 through 11-year-olds is still available at the following locations. Arlington Mill Community Center, that's located at 909 South Dinwiddie Street, and Walter Reed Community Center, that's located at 2909 16th Street South. Walk-ins for 5 through 11-year-olds are available Monday through Friday from 2 p.m. to 6:45 p.m. and Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 4:45 p.m. For more information, consult the Arlington County website. And now on to our next news story for this week. Arlington County and Fairfax County are teaming up for Virginia Flood Awareness Week to get our key messages of being informed and prepared. Virginia Week stresses personal safety with the Turn Around, Don't Drown campaign. The National Weather Service and National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration report more than half of all flood-related drownings occur when motorists attempt to drive through flood water. Other leading flood-related deaths happen when people walk into or too close to flood water. Just an inch of water entering a home can result in as much as $25,000 in damage. Yet, only 3% of Virginians have flood insurance. Flood Awareness Week seeks to educate the public about protecting their property by purchasing a flood insurance policy, which on average in Virginia costs between $400 and $1,000 annually. It is crucial for residents and property owners to know if they are located in a flood hazard area. They also offer additional tips for protecting property. Cleaning gutters and downspouts can help water drain away from structures. Keeping storm drains clear of debris enables water to drain away from property during heavy rainfall. Investing in a sump pump can help remove water that may accumulate in a home during a storm. Check your home for water entry points. During a flood, water may enter through basement windows, basement stairwells, doors, dryer vents, or cracks and gaps in the foundation. Some of these can be repaired or protected with low walls or temporary shields. Consider installing a sanitary sewer backflow valve to prevent sewer backup flooding. Make sure the ground slopes away from the foundation to keep water from getting in when it rains. Check fencing to make sure it is high enough off the ground to allow water to flow out of the yard. Visit the Reducing Your Risk of Flooding webpage to understand more about floodplain areas in the county. You can also check out floodsmart.gov to learn more information about flood insurance or speak with your homeowner's insurance agent. Finally, there is additional information at a flood resilient Arlington. The 2022 repaving season has begun with fewer pothole service requests, while the Department of Environmental Services plans to repave 74 lane miles of road, according to spokesman Peter Galkin. Mr. Galkin went on to say that county crews have filled 462 potholes, of which 360 were filled in February. So far this year, about 254 pothole service requests have been filed by residents. There are 1,059 lane miles of roadway in Arlington County, and every March, the Arlington Department of Environmental Services launches its effort to fill in potholes caused by winter freezes and repave about 8% of roads. According to data from the Department of Environmental Services, this goal is about the same as the number of miles the department has repaved in recent years. The number of potholes on local roads has generally declined over the last 5. And now on to our last news story for this week. Arlington Independent Media has a new director of programming. Her name is Kristen Clark, a producer in her own right for a number of years. Arlington Independent Media's Chief Executive Officer Whitney Kernodle said of Ms. Clark, in Kristen's work with National Geographic, Disney, IEEE Spectrum, Stitcher, SiriusXM, WYNC, and National Public Radio, among many others, she's trained and mentored radio hosts, producers, and journalists from all over the country. In turn, Ms. Clark said of Ms. Kernodle, what Whitney understands and has articulated with incredible clarity is that the heart of community media isn't just the tech, it's storytelling, access, and equity. They've always been part of AIM, and post-pandemic, we are refocusing around them above all else, finding out what new shape they'll take in this new moment. For our part, we would concur and add the recollection that AIM's earlier name for many years was Arlington Community Television, with emphasis on the word community. Well, that does it for the news for this week. Now on to our community bulletin board stories.
Hi, and welcome to CBB. Our first CBB event is from the Thursday Morning with Friends book club. This month's book is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. The group welcomes new members to join them in reading and discussing current literary fiction, historical fiction, and some nonfiction titles. Since The Hobbit was written back in 1937, I'm not sure about it being current literary fiction. Maybe they're classifying it as historical fiction. At any rate, the Thursday Morning with Friends of the Library Book Club meets every fourth Thursday morning at 10:30 a.m. in person at the Central Library. You can register through the library website. That's on Thursday, March 24th from 10:30 a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m. in the Glebe Room at Central Library, 1015 North Quincy Street. Next up, free 2021 tax preparation assistance is still being offered through the Arlington County Public Library. You can get certified tax counselors to prepare your return for free. It's being presented in partnership with AARP for people with limited income. Remember to bring tax returns from the last 2 years, correspondence you got from the IRS or your state or local taxing authority, Social Security cards or other official documentation that show the taxpayer ID numbers for every individual on your return, a government-issued photo ID for each taxpayer, checking or savings account information if you want to direct deposit any refunds or direct debit any amounts due. Other official forms including W-2s, 1099s. If you have a business, bring a summary of all the income and expenses. Also information about any other income you have. IRS letter 6475 if you've got one, and IRS letter 6419 if you have one of those. Also records of any federal, state, or local income tax that you paid, if it's not shown on the income documents. Finally, any other records showing possible deductions, health insurance, and credits. The service is available by appointment only at Columbia Pike Branch Library through April 15th. The available dates and times are Tuesdays from 1 o'clock to 7 o'clock p.m., Wednesdays from 11 o'clock a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m., Fridays from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock p.m., and Saturdays and Sundays from 10 o'clock a.m. to 4 o'clock p.m. You can get more information and make an appointment at novataxaid.org. Help is also available at other library locations. Just check the Arlington County Library website. Our next event is a middle schoolers activity. It's the Connect 4 tournament. If you're a true fan of strategy games, then this vertical board game needs no explanation. In Connect 4, the question is, can you predict the moves of the other player so that you can plan out enough of your moves to get 4 in a row? If so, then let the games begin and let the chips fall where they may. No registration is required. Attendance is first come, first served until seating capacity is reached. You can call 703-228-5260 for more information. That's on Friday, March 25th from 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock p.m. in the Longfellow Room at Westover Branch Library, 1644 North McKinley Road, Suite 3. Next up, it's the Cherry Blossom Kite Festival. You can come to Virginia Highlands Park for a day of fun for the whole family as they celebrate Arlington's own Blossom Kite Festival. This free event will feature live entertainment, inflatables, art projects, games, food trucks, and, of course, kite flying. Free kite kits will be handed out to the first 100 attendees. No registration is required. For more information, call 703-228-3329. That's on Saturday, March 26th from 10 o'clock a.m. to 1 o'clock p.m. at Virginia Highlands Park, 1600 South Hayes Street. Our next event is a chance to build your own rain barrel at a hands-on workshop. Get ready for spring gardening and help capture runoff from your roof. Pre-registration is required. The $55 fee covers the barrel and supplies. For more information, call Lily Whitesell at 703-228-3042. You can register online through the library website. That's on Saturday, March 26th from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock p.m. at Fairlington Community Center, 3308 South Stafford Street. Our final CBB event is a chance to learn how to use and create files for the Glowforge laser cutter. This class will go over the basics of laser cutting, safety procedures, and the required software, which is called Inkscape. Students will then be required to design a simple .svg file. Previous knowledge of design software is recommended. This class will meet virtually on Zoom. All registrants will receive emailed instructions about joining the Zoom meeting. After the class, Patrons will need to make an appointment with the shop staff to use the machine in order to complete the sign-off class. Only patrons who are registered will be eligible for sign-off. Registration is required, and it's for ages 18 and up. For more information, call 703-228-7718, or you can email lib-makers@arlingtonva.us. You can register through the library website. That's on Monday, March 28th, from 6 o'clock to 7:30 p.m. Now it's time for 55 Plus News.
Howdy, and welcome to 55 Plus News. Our first 55 Plus event is called Does Anyone Know What Day It Is? It's a chance to learn how the ancient Egyptians and Romans ordered their years and what the movements of the sun and the moon had to do with Ramadan, Passover, and Easter. Jennifer Lynn Bartlett, a professional astronomer and president of the Friends of Arlington's David M. Brown Planetarium, will discuss and answer questions. You can register online through the Parks and Recreation website. The activity number is 913-400-20, and that's on Thursday, March 31st from 11 o'clock a.m. to 12 o'clock noon. This is a virtual event. Next up, do you have money waiting for you? Maybe you overpaid an electric bill. Maybe you're missing a refund or forgot about a bank account. Companies across the Commonwealth turn over these unclaimed assets to the Virginia Treasury Department's Unclaimed Property Division. A division representative will explain how you can recover this money for yourself or a loved one's estate. You can register online at the Parks and Recreation website. The activity number is 913-400-02, and that's on Thursday, March 24th from 1:30 to 2:30 p.m. This is a virtual event. Next up, Acoustic Hour at Aurora Hills. Here's a chance to just relax and enjoy some fellowship with the other 55 plus participants while listening to live acoustic music by 55 plus performers. For March, the performer will be Chuck Vasily. You can register online at the Parks and Recreation website. The activity number is 913-301-06. That's on Friday, March 25th from 1 o'clock to 2:30 p.m. at Aurora Hills Community Center, 735 18th Street South. The next event is called Understanding Dementia. Learn how to define dementia, how to distinguish the different types, and understand the typical path of disease progression. Kay Young, an education and outreach coordinator with the Insight Memory Care Center, will discuss and answer questions on this important health topic. You can register online at the Parks and Recreation website. The activity number is 913-500-05, and that's on Wednesday, March 30th from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock p.m. at Langston Brown Community Center, 2121 North Culpeper Street. Next up, the Dark White Forest. As the first African American female forester in the U.S. Department of Agriculture Forest Service, Melody Staria Mobley is a trailblazer. She will share her story of overcoming hardships, discrimination, and stereotypes to accomplish a series of firsts that paved the way for women in natural resource careers. You can register online at the Parks and Recreation website. The activity number is 913-400-10. That's on Wednesday, March 30th from 11 o'clock to 11:45 a.m. at Lubber Run Community Center, 300 North Park Drive. Our final event is about how to recognize and avoid fraud. Officers from the Arlington County Police Department outreach team will provide information about preventing fraud, common scams, and identity theft, as well as tips on general cyber safety. You can register online at the Parks and Recreation website. The activity number is 913-400-03, and that's on Wednesday, March 30th from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock p.m. at Aurora Hills Community Center, 735 18th Street South. Anyway, that's all I got for 55 Plus News.
And now, an editorial. One side effect of my relocation from Arlington to Hagerstown has been occasional exposure to the trucker protest convoy. They call it the Freedom Convoy, and its supporters. Among the signs and banners being displayed are the words, "Fight for Freedom." The protesters and those who support them would do well to turn their attention to the people in Ukraine. The Ukrainians have been involved in real fighting, with injuries and fatalities and the destruction of their homes and workplaces for the past few weeks. It is the Ukrainians whose freedom is truly being threatened by the Russian army. The so-called Freedom Convoy began in Canada by some truck drivers who did not want to be required to receive vaccinations for coronavirus. The protests in the Arlington-Hagerstown area are imitations of that protest, with a few more complaints added in. While the Ukrainians, military and civilian, are defending their country by means of blockades, Molotov cocktails, guns, and whatever other weapons they can obtain, the American truckers are demonstrating by decorating their vehicles with signs and flags and simply driving around the Washington Beltway, burning fuel in the process, fuel that is expected to be in short supply very soon. Meanwhile, their supporters are standing on overpasses holding up more signs and banners. These activities can hardly be described as fighting for freedom. The truck drivers are basically parading. It could be called joyriding. And the supporters on the bridges are simply posing. In the year 2022, there are other, less wasteful methods for conveying a message. The time, money, fuel, and energy currently being expended by the convoy would be better directed toward helping the true freedom fighters in Ukraine, whose life and death struggles expose the self-styled freedom convoy as something less like actual fighting and more like petty fussing. If the protesters are serious about the concept of true freedom, they should channel their efforts constructively and actually help other people instead of merely getting in the way. The current activity of parading, wasting gas, and blocking traffic can certainly be described as protesting. Just don't call it fighting. This has been an editorial comment. And that concludes this week's show, the first show produced from Hagerstown, Maryland. We will be back next week with more news for Arlington. Meanwhile, be careful, be safe, and be well. it.